So we are here with Simon Chokoisky, who is a faculty member and instructor at the Ayurvedic Institute in Albuquerque and the author of the 5 Dharma Types. And Simon, you had offered and agreed and were generous to take the time out this morning to talk a little bit about Ayurveda and weight loss and some new, old, not so new, not so old findings. You were talking about the 5 top things that that we can look at to change our weight loss patterns, and that's a big deal for a lot of us, right?
Yeah, and the idea is not just weight loss, but body composition change. You know, you don't want to go necessarily from a big apple to a small apple. You want actual composition changes, which includes increased muscle mass and lowered body fat in most people, although not in everyone. And you can achieve this through, amazingly enough, through diet. Now, me, I'm an extremely sedentary person have been for the last year because I'm working on my 2nd book. So I'm sitting here in front of my computer and writing about this stuff, and which has gotten me to do a lot of research, but also find out ways that even with you know, with being sedentary, how to exercise more efficiently, how to eat more efficiently. And I found these top 10 tips that I'll talk about today, how to quickly and efficiently improve digestion and lose weight, basically.
Sounds great.
So yeah, so the first thing is, and it's something that goes a little bit contrary to what trainers usually tell their clients. Now, I know this because I used to work in gyms and for many years, and I was a trainer myself. And we always tell people eat 5 to 6 meals a day, right? Protein-rich, well-balanced meals, so that your metabolism keeps working. According to Ayurveda, this is actually counterproductive, and here's why. The reason is, your body takes time to digest food. It takes 4 to 5 to even 6 hours, according to Ayurveda, to fully digest a meal. And it's like your dishwasher. Once you put the dirty dishes in, you don't want to open it mid-cycle and stuff more dirty dishes inside. So Ayurveda says eat 3 square meals a day. This is a revolutionary thing for a lot of people. No snacking. So in the morning, if you're hungry, eat enough to get you to lunch, to around noon. At lunch, have your biggest meal, because, you know, this is when the sun is highest in the sky, around midday. And according to Ayurveda, we should emulate nature, meaning when there's bright fire, heat outside, there's also digestive enzymes within. So the body's diurnal cycle, it reaches its sort of enzymatic peak around midday and also midnight, which is why if you stay up past 10 or 11, you're going to get those munchies for the midnight snack. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. So if you really, you know, nature will make you hungry around midday and midnight. It's up to you whether you're sleeping at midnight or if you're awake, then you're going to have to eat something, or else, you know, you won't feel good. So back to this idea of having the biggest meal at midday. Have as much as you want. This isn't a diet. This is, in fact, you can call it the eat as much as you want diet. And eat as much as you want, and then shut the mouth. Sylvester Stallone was on Jay Leno last year sometime, when Jay Leno was still running the show, and Leno asked him, how do you get in shape? You know, how do you stay in shape? You're so old, but you're still so fit. And Stallone said, you know, I can't do his accent, but he said, well, you know, Jay, what you got to do is take some fishing wire and a needle, and you just sew your mouth shut. That's how you do it.
Oh, yeah.
And he's right. And, you know, he was speaking from deep experience. You know, we're all laughing, but it's true. Eat your biggest meal at lunch, then shut the machine, let the dishwasher run its cycle. Then 4 to 5 to 6 hours later, have a nice dinner, enough that will get you through the next morning, and you're done. This is the 3 meals a day plan. It will take your body about 3 days to get used to this. So all you need is a little bit of willpower for 3 days, and your body will naturally adjust. So that first day, you're going to want to reach for a snack. You're going to want to go, I'm kind of just, go with it. Let it go. You're not going to die of starvation. Don't worry. And then eat enough in the next meal so that you are fully satisfied. This is the diet of sitting down, eating as much as you want, and being totally satisfied. Mm-hmm. This has an added benefit because most of us eat on the run, we're stressed out, and stress creates a horrible response in the body. It makes you hold on to fat, it turns off digestion, it turns off reproductive hormones. So if you're a woman, you have more painful periods, you have irregular periods, you have skin problems, all of these things because of hormone fluctuations brought about by stress. There is a biochemist named Dr. Libby Weaver who has written some wonderful books on this topic. She's from New Zealand, I believe, and we can put her link here. She has a talk on YouTube where she talks about she used to run 2 hours a day every day and be very, very busy. But she got a job teaching Tai Chi to some clients. And as soon as she got that job, she lost 20 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
She was amazed, and yet she went back and looked at the biochemistry of the body, and it made perfect sense. Because sometimes working out too hard can create more stress in the body, more than the body can handle. Stress hormones create holding on to fat because they put you in survival mode. They turn off your digestion. They turn off reproduction. They turn off your sleep. So the idea of sitting down to a nice, calm meal, not eating while you're driving, while you're putting on makeup or smoking or whatever, just relax. Turn off the TV while you eat. After you're done eating, you can turn on the TV, relax a little bit. In fact, Ayurveda talks about doing some LSD after you eat. Mm. Have you heard of LSD?
LSD?
Yes. It's not the one you're thinking about.
I figured.
LSD stands for left side down. Mm. So after you eat, lie on your left side for 15 minutes, 10 to 15, if you can. And this allows the food to move to the right because your stomach empties to the right, and you've got your liver, the duodenum, and so on. Mm. And you want to create a path for the food to easily flow. And Dr. John Douillard, in his book Body, Mind, and Sport, talks about, well, if you can't do that and you're driving home from the restaurant, then just make a lot of right turns, and then you'll kind of lean to the left. So the mantra is lean to the left. And I think Beyonce was talking about this when she sang that song. She was really thinking about her digestion.
There you go.
That's it. So, but leaning, so that also helps you relax and creates a stress-free anabolic environment in the body rather than catabolic. Mm. And this is huge. This is a huge thing that even science is now beginning to look at. It's not just about calories in, calories out. Yeah. It's about what your body does with those calories and are you equipping it to get the most out of them. Yeah. So the first tip is 3 square meals. The second,
I'm just gonna the first tip. It's so interesting, and I did want to hook in there because I mean that's how, I don't know about you, but that's how I grew up. European diet. You sit down 3 square meals. In the fitness world, it's been incredibly. I know you haven't been working in the fitness world for a number of years now, but when I started, we promoted 6, 7, 8 meals a day, and it stressed people out. I was stressed out. I did the same thing.
And the thing is, it does work in the short term. Mm. You do see body composition changes in the short term, 2-3 months. But then after that, the stress that you've built, you have to keep working harder and harder and harder to maintain those results. And it's not a good long-term strategy. And it's completely not sustainable if you think about where you're going to get your next meal from. You always have to be prepared. You always have to carry a cooler around, and it creates this whole big deal around eating that's just not healthy.
It's difficult now to teach people to not do that anymore. I find, a lot of people do weight loss programs, which I won't name, or come from personal training, and are still with that mindset of eating 5 to 7 meals a day. And it's really, and I'm glad you brought that up as your first point, because it's so important. It's difficult to get people away from that thinking that they need to constantly rev up their metabolism by eating. Whereas you actually burn more food than fat when you constantly stuff food in there, right?
Well, and this brings us to another point about toxicity. Because if you overstress the machine, the body, what happens is all of that food that you're giving it, not all of it is absorbable. So a lot of it remains as a toxic sort of mucoid plaque that in Ayurveda is called ama. This word ama refers to morbid mucoid plaque, the stuff you see on your tongue first thing in the morning. So one of the things that I talk about and that Ayurveda talks about, that I talk about in my book, is first thing in the morning, get up and scrape your tongue. And if there is a bunch of white gunk, it means that your body hasn't fully digested the previous day's meal. And you might want to think about having a lighter meal in the morning. And there's also this, we've all watched soap operas or movies where you see the lovely couple wake up in the morning and start making out right away. And when I see that, I go, oh my God, they must have this sweet-smelling breath and no morbid mucoid plaque on their tongue and just be extremely healthy, because how else can you do that? And, it's kind of a cliche, but it's an ideal that we actually can live up to. So by appropriating these 10 tips that I'm going to talk about, starting with 3 square meals, you can achieve that ideal of a clean and clear body and digestion. The other part of it is 95% of your serotonin is made in your gut. Most of your neurochemicals, the stuff we responsible for our moods and emotions, is made in the gut. So if the gut is busy digesting the Oreos and the slime that you ate from 15 minutes ago, and then you keep stuffing food in there, it doesn't have time to regulate and to do its other functions. We have an enteric nervous system called the second brain, and if you keep stuffing food down there, it doesn't have time to think. So you want to allow your second brain time to think. Most 70% of our immunity is also in the gut. So, in essence, to summarize here, I don't want to go on too much about this one point, but by overworking your digestion, you compromise your immunity, potentially. You compromise your ability to be emotionally stable, and you compromise your ability to digest, which can work against you in terms of creating positive body composition changes. So that's the first tip. 3 meals a day. Try it. I think you'll love it.
I think everybody should. Yeah.
Okay. So my second point is highly controversial, although it's not really controversial, but and it's about how to drink water. And in the research that I've done and what I found in researching my second book on called Sex, Love, and Dharma,
nice.
I found that, if I'm going to write a book on relationships, there's so many books on relationships, and I'm not a relationship expert. But the take I'm taking on it is, if you have gas, bloating, belching, your joints hurt, you don't feel good, well, then your relationship will suffer. So I'm taking a ground-up approach, meaning first get your mood stable, your body healthy, and your mind vibrant and alive, so that any person you interact with, you have a positive relationship. So you're not grumpy all the time.
Yeah.
Imagine you meet your soulmate. You're lucky enough, you're at the right place at the right time, you meet your soulmate, but you're just cramped up from
indigestion.
Whatever. From indigestion or and you feel crappy. And now, you might miss your moment, or you don't make the impression that you want to make. So, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, one should get this taken care of before relationships can really blossom.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of clients and they say, well, I want somebody to love me for me. I don't want to be somebody I'm not. And I ask, well, which you do you want them to love? The one who's in her or his pajamas eating ice cream and picking their nose at night? Or the one who is dynamic, vital, compassionate, laughing, loving, and being with others? We've all been those two people. Like, I've certainly been on both ends of the spectrum. And they're both me. So the question is, which you do you want to be? And that's something I talk about in the first book, The 5 Dharma Types, which is how to know how to be your best self. And that translates into relationships as well. So anyway, back to this idea that what you put in your body and the health that you create can help you in your relationships. The second tip is, to that end, is drink water. But it's not even about how much water you drink, but when you drink it. So the first tip in Ayurveda is, first thing when you get up, after you scrape your tongue and rinse your mouth, have a tall glass of water, 8 to 16 ounces. And now I'm being hypocritical because you can maybe hear my voice a little bit. I need to go drink some water. I haven't had enough water this morning. But more to the point, that first drink of water will flush toxins out of your system. It'll stimulate peristalsis, so your bowels can move, and having a bowel movement in the morning is the best thing. Dr. Vasant Lad from the Ayurvedic Institute likes to say that true happiness is waking up to the call of nature. Because that means that your body, your digestion is working. It's not stuck. And once you move all that stuff out in the morning, the rest of your day you feel light and happy. Okay? So that first drink of water primes your pump. And for many people, that may be the only time you really get to drink a good dose of water. And I'm not recommending that, but you know, we're so busy, we're on the run, we get in the car, we're on the go. We have Coca-Cola at lunch and this and that. And that first drink in the morning is really key to waking up your brain and your body. The second water tip is, and this is something I've found in researching just recently, and studies have been done to show how this works, is drink water 15 to 30 minutes before every meal. So what this does, this is before every meal, not during. When you drink water before a meal, you hydrate. There is a layer in your stomach, a bicarbonate layer that is made of mostly of water. And it's there to buffer all the hydrochloric acid in the stomach. So if that layer is not nice and healthy, if you're dehydrated and that layer is thin, then the stomach knows it can't secrete hydrochloric acid, and it'll only secrete a small amount. And then when you have a big meal, your stomach can't digest it. When you prehydrate before eating, what you do is you really build that buffer nice and thick, and then the stomach pumps in hydrochloric acid. So instead of going out and buying a ton of digestive enzymes that you take exogenously from the outside, just make your own. Your body has tons of enzymes. Just allow it to put them in there. Then, while you're eating, you should be already quite hydrated, so try not to drink water, or if you have to, just sip a tiny amount, enough to get your food down. The reason behind this is because water has a pH of about 7 or more, so it's pretty alkaline, whereas your body's HCl, hydrochloric acid, is about a pH of 2. So when you're drinking, and you know, you're basically diluting your body's ability to digest while you're eating. So the second water tip is drink water between meals, like before 15 to 30 minutes before a meal, and then a couple hours after if you're going to drink again, or just before your next meal.
Right.
And the thing about this is it's amazing. It works right away. Try it before your next meal. Have a tall glass of water. Wait. And watch what happens. You'll feel the hydrochloric acid, unless you're very stuffed up, and it might take 2 or 3 times of doing this. But for me, the first time I tried it, I got so hungry afterwards. Like I had real hunger, and I was like ready to devour my food. So this really works. And a study just recently done in the Journal of Clinical Diagnostic Research, I'm looking at it here, September 2013. They took 50 overweight young women, and they had them only do this: drink 16 ounces of water a half hour before each meal. And they compared them to a placebo, not a placebo, to another group that wasn't doing that. They're eating the same diet.
Yeah.
Well, you can guess the results. The group that drank the water before breakfast, lunch, and dinner burned fat and created significant weight reduction. And statistically significant, not just a little tiny bit. So this works. So if you want to try it, just use water. You'll save money on supplements. You'll save money on enzymes and all these kinds of things. And you're using the wisdom of your own body to create body composition changes.
Nice.
So those are a couple of water tips. Another water tip that you can do, especially where you live in the northern latitudes in the winter, is to sip hot water all day long. Yeah. And you know about this, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And what that does is it hydrates your body on a totally new level. Every 15 minutes, you can even set your alarm. So doot doot doot. Oh, I got to take a little drink. And you just take a sip, a little tiny drink from your thermos, but you do that all day long. It's a pain in the ass, I know. But for people who are chronically dehydrated and for people who have chronic digestive issues, and this would be kaphas, or kapha body types, this is manna from heaven. Because, number one, it'll stimulate digestion. Your body's digestive juices get primed. And number two, it'll superhydrate your cells. And what that creates is a better ability to exercise. So you get more out of your workout. As you know, if a person works out dehydrated and their muscles and tendons are dry and tight and adhesed, working out is actually creating more tears and problems than it's curing.
Yeah.
So, right? So to benefit from a workout, you want to be fully hydrated and nourished, and then push your body to be even more, to be even better. But if your body is already dry and scaly, and you're pushing it, it's like breaking a twig. If a dry twig breaks easy, a moist twig will not break; it'll bend.
Yeah.
So that sipping hot water throughout the day is a great way. It is a little bit more time-consuming, and you got to think about it, but it's another great trick to try.
Well, this is one where just as the 3 square meals a day, where people have a hard time adjusting, and what I usually tell them is make a big thermos in the morning, boil your water, put in your thermos, and off you go. You take it with you wherever you are.
That's it.
And what people are worried about is that, well, then I have to go to the washroom all day long. And what I've found is that when you drink the hot water, you hydrate better, you don't pee it out like you would with, jugging down cold water like we're told to in the fitness industry again,
Exactly. And the thing about cold water, the reason in the fitness industry we're told to drink cold water is because your body has to warm it up, and so it expends, 5 extra calories to do that. Well, you know what? Those extra calories that it expends to warm up the water are nowhere near a benefit as much as the fact that cold water shocks the system, creates a stress response in the body, which then leads to a hormonal cascade that is going down the wrong road.
Yeah.
Just burn those extra 15 calories by doing this every 15 minutes and drinking, from your thermos. That'll burn the same amount of calories as drinking cold water, but also give you the added benefit of superhydration. And just as you said, superhydration means you don't pee it right out.
Yeah.
The water goes deeper into the deeper tissues where it's needed, rather than just being flushed through the body. So that's tip number 2. Know when and how to drink water.
Great.
So tip number 3 then is stoking your digestion with herbs and the primary herb being Triphala. So this is like the lazy person's way to detoxification and better digestion. Just pound a half a teaspoon of Triphala in the morning or at night, and it'll naturally scrape your villi, your inner environment of any toxic residual junk. Triphala is really a panacea, and it's really well known. It's world famous. Lots of studies have been done on it. Just as an example, one of its component ingredients, it has 3 ingredients. One of its ingredients, amalaki, it has the world's highest concentration of vitamin C of any food on the planet. It's this little green fruit that's really sour, and what they do is they dry it and it becomes a powder. Now, the other cool thing about it is that vitamin C is heat soluble. So when it's dried into a powder, it doesn't lose its potency. Other food sources do. So somehow this vitamin C, and I don't know the chemical reasons why, but it remains alive and potent. And so it works as an antioxidant. It gives you all the benefits of a dose of vitamin C in addition to cleaning your GI tract. So Triphala, great to take. You can take it straight up. You can brew it as a tea. Or you can put 1 teaspoon in water, stir it at night, then leave it and let all the sediment settle. And then the next morning, drink the water, but leave the sediment on the bottom. Then refill that with more water, stir it again, and in the evening, drink that water again and throw out the sediment. So that's another way. So there are 3 ways to take your Triphala.
So do you find in your experience that the tablets are just as effective, or at least come close? I know a lot of people have trouble with the sour, bitter kind of flavor.
Oh, I know, but that's the fun of Triphala. Triphala is like a roller coaster ride because it's a magical little thing. When you put Triphala in your mouth, whatever you taste, that's the taste you need more of in your diet. So, for example, some people take Triphala and it tastes bitter. You need more bitter. Some people take Triphala and they get that sour taste. Well, you might need more sour, which to kindle your digestion. So lemons, so drink a little lemon juice, lemonade, sour citrus fruits. If you need more bitter, consider dandelions, greens, collard greens, mustard greens. But also there's a herb called Kutki, K-U-T-K-I, that is the king of liver detoxifiers, and it's very bitter, but it's a super, they make it into a little extract that you can just take under your tongue before meals or after meals, and it's wonderful, and it's a great way to get your bitter taste. So use Triphala as a diagnostic tool. So I don't recommend that people take the tablets unless they actually chew on the tablet a little bit, because you want to get that flavor in your mouth. Another reason to get the flavor in your mouth is because the receptors in your mouth immediately signal your brain. So have you ever had a piece of chocolate that you put it in your mouth and immediately go, oh, that's so good. And your body has a complete reaction, like you go into this state, right? Well, the chocolate hasn't even had a chance to hit your stomach, no less be digested and give all of its antioxidants and whatever. All that's happened is a signal has gone to your brain, and the brain said, chocolate! Chocolate's coming! And the body went, yes! So the same thing with Triphala, or anything you put in your mouth. Taste it. And that signal will go to the brain, and the brain will go, ah! Cleansing stuff is coming! Get rid of toxins, go! Start pushing it out, pushing it out. And you feel like you kind of go like a prune, and your body squeezes. Like I go, ah! But in that squeezing, your body, even before the Triphala has hit your stomach, your body starts squeezing all the junk out into the GI tract because it knows Triphala is coming, and Triphala is like this garbage truck that's just going to collect everything. So try to taste it at least a little bit.
Okay, very cool.
just swallowing the tablet. It'll still work to a degree, but you'll get 70% of the benefit, not 100%.
Yeah, which is, for me, it doesn't make sense to even go there. And yeah, that response, I know the response well. We will post the links to sources for Triphala and the Kutki and Trikatu down below the video in the blog, so everybody can have a look at that too.
Great. And yeah, that would be wonderful. I was going to say one more thing about Triphala is that it cleanses every tissue that it touches. So you can even make an eye wash out of it. You can use it for shampoo. There's so many wonderful uses. But when you get to a certain point, and this is how you know that your body is now clean, when you put Triphala in your mouth, you'll actually taste sweet.
Okay.
And that's something to work up to. And if you follow these 10 tips that I'm going to talk about over the course of these videos, you will get to that point where Triphala is sweet. I promise you.
Really?
Yep.
Take your word for that.
Okay.
I'm still with the chocolate on that one. You know, good dark, but no, but yeah, the Triphala, it's a really interesting thing, and I know that I've used it as a toner for my skin, and do that detox with a little steam bath, and it's a great formula. Now, do you?
You can wash your counters with it.
I haven't tried that. Have you tried that?
I have, yeah, it works, but to me, it's disrespecting actually plants. So I use it mostly on the body.
It's probably the way to go.
Yeah. So the next tip, this is number 4, is kill sugar. Oh my God! You know, a long time ago, a therapist once told me, Simon, sugar equals pain. And how right she was, because sugar is a huge factor in inflammation. And if, you know, any disease that ends with the suffix itis means inflammation. Appendicitis, cystitis, tonsillitis, arthritis, that means inflammation, bursitis. And sugar is a key component in creating inflammation. So for most of us, not for everybody, for most of us, managing sugar is going to be one of those huge leaps that allows you to, in fact, taste sweet when you take Triphala. That will allow you to, when you wake up in the morning, have sweet-smelling breath. Because sugar ferments in your GI tract and creates that nasty breath. So some strategies for killing sugar are just go on a sugar fast. And this is nothing drastic. You can work your way into it, but I call it the 5-2 punch. Take 5 days off of sugar. See how you feel. And then if you feel great, which most people are going to feel amazing after this, you can keep going. Or you can take 2 days and reincorporate sugar back into your diet, so you're not a snob, you know, at a birthday party. Oh no, I can't have any cake, I'm on a sugar fast. You know, and people go, come on, it's your birthday. So you can have all those things, and the thing is, you enjoy it so much more. You take a bite and you go, oh my God, that is so rich. Like, you really taste the sugar after you haven't had it for a while. Yeah. So here's how it works. Work your way down slowly by eliminating elective sugars. Elective sugars are any added sugars to food, like pop, ketchup, pies, cakes, anything that has sugar added to it. This doesn't include, you know, vegetables, which naturally have sugar, grains, starches. This isn't an Atkins style of diet. Yeah. This is simply taking out all added sugars and replacing them with real natural food. Dr. John Diard says when he met Jack LaLanne, he said, "What's your secret?" And Jack LaLanne said, "I never eat anything in a wrapper."
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
And usually things with wrappers have added sugar. So that's a little nugget from Jack LaLanne. So for 5 days, you're eating no sugar. If you like to eat meat, fish, whatever, that's fine. Have vegetables, have grains, but no added sugar. The first day or two might be tough, but for me, just getting off the sugar is a question of a habit. Like you're used to reaching for the ketchup or for this. But the way you feel is amazing. And the truth is that your body does know how to fast. We are, you know, sleep is a fast from waking consciousness.
Yep.
And exhale is a fast from taking in oxygen. All of our life is fasting and feasting. So trying this little mini sugar fast is one of the best things you can do for your body. And in fact, it's the reason so many of these paleo and Atkins style diets are wildly successful, because it's basically a sugar fast. And there are other problems with those diets that I won't go into here, but right? So tip number 4 is kill sugar and you will kill inflammation, and you'll be amazed how good you feel. And you don't have to kill it forever. You can get back to sugar and you can cycle. You can try this sugar fast at least 4 to 5 times a year, and you'll feel amazing.
And I find that a lot of people won't want to go back to it. You know, you make it a habit, 5 days, you start to feel so much better. And it's like with anything, you know, you wean yourself off, and quite often, you know, once people have tried it and done that, they'll just stay off it, and it becomes so much easier.
Yeah, and the little joint pains and things like this start going away. The gurgling in your stomach goes away because there's no fermentation happening.
Once you see the benefits, right?
Yeah, and the bugs in your system go, oh, thank you. Now I can actually start working on making serotonin and building immunity, and not like being overcrowded by all these fungi and candida that sugar creates an overgrowth of. So your belly will thank you.
Great. So can you give us one more? I think we have time for one more.
We have time? Yeah, sure. Number 5 is eat according to your dharma type.
Okay.
So this is where I wrote a book on this called The 5 Dharma Types, Vedic Wisdom for Discovering Your Purpose and Destiny. And one of the reasons to know and understand who you are, what your purpose is, and what your dharma type is so you can understand how to eat. So I'll give you a quick breakdown. There are 5 dharma types. There's the educator, the laborer, the merchant, the outsider, the warrior. Educator, laborer, merchant, outsider, and the warrior. Those are the 5. So for the educator type, nonviolence is very important. Educators have very delicate digestive systems. Even though I'm an educator and you know, I'm tall, I'm 6'4", I might seem imposing, we're not. We're cream puffs, and we're very delicate inside. So educators are the ones who often go into special diets like vegetarianism, veganism, low gluten diet, all of these things, because they have delicate digestion. So if you're an educator, consider moving towards a vegetarian diet. Doesn't mean you have to do it all at once or that you can't eat meat ever, but more and more reduce meat intake. If you eat 3 times a week, start moving to twice a week for a while. Then go to once a week for a while and see how you feel. Okay? For warriors need more protein. So they have to eat a higher protein, lower carbohydrate grain diet. Yeah. Because warriors need more muscle mass, and it's just for warrior types, that kind of diet just fits.
That makes sense. You picture Hercules in that kind of...
Exactly. And Hercules, you know, probably not a vegetarian. Not that being a vegetarian has to make you weak, but it's just warriors need more protein.
Yeah, you don't think Hercules would be plant-based? Could be.
You know, there was a famous bodybuilder named Bill Pearl who wrote a lot of books on training, and he was a vegetarian most of his life, and he advocated, and this guy had guns like, you know, huge. Yeah. He was enormous. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. But for warriors, it's okay. It's okay to eat meat, and you have to have, even if you're a vegetarian, have more protein, less carbohydrate. Mm-hmm. The opposite is true if you're a laborer type. Laborers, higher grain-based diet, lower protein. Laborers just, their bodies simply do better with more carbohydrates. Think about countries like India and a lot of third world countries. They'll eat a cup of rice in the morning. I mean, this is amazing. You know, Dr. Vasant Lad, who teaches at the Ayurvedic Institute, he says, you know, in America, you guys have no energy. You have to eat all the time, then you take naps and this. You know, in India, an old 70-year-old lady has a little bit of rice, and then she's in the field for 12 hours picking, you know, in the rice paddy. How do they do that? Part of how they do that is the digestive system is clear, so that even from one grain of rice, they get the maximum amount of energy, hormonal effect, and so on. Whereas we were so stuffed and clogged up, our digestion is so clogged up, that little bit of rice just goes in and it gets in line after all the mucus and all the stuff. It can't even go in and do its job because our body can't assimilate it. So in any case, we talked about how to clear all that out in the last couple of tips. So laborers, higher grain diet, lower protein. Then for merchant types, luxury. Merchants love luxury. So merchants are allowed to enjoy things like alcohol, glass of wine, chocolate, those French sauces and meals and rich foods are okay for merchant types. So you find higher fat content as well, percentage? Higher quality fat. Not nachos and Doritos. No. Like higher, you know, like grass-fed butter is great. Because a merchant type needs to feel satisfied. And one of the ways to do that is through having a sumptuous meal. And even if you have to wait all day for it, having a beautiful, sumptuous meal with all your senses stimulated is okay for merchant types. They can indulge once in a while. And then finally, outsiders, they're outside the box. So for them, anything goes. They're the ones who usually pioneer new ways of eating. You know, from Mongolian barbecue to East-West cuisine, they're the ones who bring in new kind of flavors. So for outsiders, you have to find your own right diet. No one book is going to teach you what's right for you. You have to read this book, this book, this book, watch this video, that video, watch Simon, watch this guy, watch the other guy, and go, okay, I'll take from here what works, from here what works, and from here. And you create your own diet plan. So with the outsider, do you find, you know, with your experience with your clients, that might be the type who jumps on extremes, who goes from raw food to paleo to vegan to trying this and that and just going through all these different motions? That's it. Yeah. That's exactly it. And in fact, that's okay, because you have to experience the world and its various flavors and whatnot before you can make a judgment on what's right for you. So if you're an outsider, it's okay. But if you're, you know, 88 years old and you're still jumping from thing to thing, then, you know, it's time to give it a rest. Usually the first part of an outsider's life, they're experimental. And the second part, they incorporate, they synthesize everything. So if by age 30, 35, you haven't figured it out, it's time to synthesize, to begin to synthesize. And I talk about exactly how to do this in the 5 Dharma types in the book. I give specific a game plan for outsiders on how to integrate yourself using a step-by-step program. So you can find out more about that in the 5 Dharma types. Which is a fabulous book. You just released it. It's fantastic. I've read it twice, I think, now. So you just released the second edition. It just recently came out, right? Correct. Yeah, and it's awesome. It's tighter. It's more direct. It's very well edited, and I have to give kudos to the publisher, Inner Traditions, for doing a great job with presenting it. The first edition I self-published, and this is now a widely available, normally published book. And it's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and even Ayurveda.com.
We'll post some links to that as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. So when people buy your book, what can they expect to learn about themselves or to take away? Just on like a 2-minute kind of give us an idea.
Yeah, well, the first thing is there's a test, and you'll learn your dharma type, and that's the most important thing. And people sometimes say, well, there are only 5 dharma types, you know, and there's 7 billion people on the planet. How does that help me? And I respond, it's a great question. You know, how does knowing if you're a man or a woman help? How does knowing your gender? Like, these are 2 archetypes, male, female. But think about how many decisions just become automatic and easy. How to comb your hair, you know, which bathroom you walk into at the restaurant. Things that we take for granted are become very difficult if you don't know which archetype you are. And it's the same thing with your dharma type. If you don't know what your dharma type is, so many of life decisions are just more complex, and there's so much choice. But if you know, oh, I'm an educator, then things become simple. And that's one of the greatest benefits. And another is learning how to interact with your partner. Every dharma type has a specific way of interacting with others, and compatibility is very important. So I talk about that, and even more so in my second book, which is coming up.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, I think, is there anything that's been left unsaid that you really wanted to get out to people before we, I think we might have to do a second interview.
Do you have 4 more hours? We
Just the most important, 4 more hours. Sounds good.
Yes, and the meaning of life is click. You know, I think we talked about 5 important points to remember to help you clean out your digestion and help your relationships. And next time we'll talk about the next 5, because there are 10 important points. But if you start with just these 5, how to drink water, 3 square meals a day, take your triphala, know who you are, what your purpose is, and how that helps, how that determines what's best for you to eat. Just those 5 things can change your life. And they honestly, they've changed my life. I've lost 20 pounds doing nothing but just learning to eat 3 times a day and drink water, enough water and at the right times. And I sit at a computer all day nowadays. I don't even get, and I should exercise more, but just doing those things has really helped my own body composition. I know they work in myself, they work in others. So give them a shot, and we'll come back and give you the next 5 tips.
I'm in with that. So the links to your book will be posted below the video, and the resources as well to the herbs. And we will do a second interview with the other 5 points very soon.
Awesome.
And Simon, thank you so much for your time, for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
We will talk to you soon.
And thank you for providing this resource for clients and for people, because you have a wealth of wisdom that has taken you a long time to establish, and you're also very open to new information from others. So you are a gem. You're a gem of a resource for others. So thank you for opening up that channel.
Well, thank you for that, Simon. I think it's important information that needs to get out there and just show that there's different ways than what we've been taught that might not necessarily be the right way to go.
Awesome.
For everybody.
Great chatting with you.
All right. Awesome. So we'll see you soon.
Bye.